Good afternoon or morning or whenever you're listening to this, Tampa Bay. I'm David Warner, Editor-in-Chief of DuPont Registry Tampa Bay, and here's another episode of Tampa Bay Talks. And we have as our guest today the Executive Director of a wonderful organization, which we'll talk about, the Children's Cancer Center, and that would be Ms. Patty O'Leary.
Good.
Executive Director for 10 years, is that correct?
Currently going on 11
Oh,
next
going
month.
on 11.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. They do wonderful things. I want to talk a little bit about that. There's some special events coming up in October that we'll talk about. But let me just ask you first. Well, we need to make a footnote here for those of you who might be concerned. Neither one of us is wearing a mask. Well, we have a. Would you want to explain why that is, in part?
Sure. We brought our masks. However, I am currently 6 weeks out. I'm considered a COVID survivor. I currently have the antibodies, which makes it safe for me to sit close to David today. So we went out on a limb and felt that we would be mask free.
And I have tested negative myself. So we're still recommending that all of you out there who don't have these credentials yet, please wear masks and stay apart from each other as much as you can, unless you're in a giant celebration of the Bolts winning the Stanley Cup like last night. But there are exceptions to every rule. Anyway, so Patty O'Leary, welcome again. Tell us what drew you to the organization.
Well, I've always had a passion for helping children, and really children and their families. So by trade or by schooling, by education, I am an educator. So I started out as an elementary certified teacher in upstate New York.
Really?
I loved what I did. I spent 2 decades working with students on both ends of the spectrum, students that perhaps were at risk and those that were more on an accelerated path. I was the franchise owner and executive director of Huntington Learning Center here in the greater Tampa Bay area. Yeah. So I always knew that that was my calling. It always fed my soul. I knew that I wanted to make an impact in lives of children. I never thought for a moment that I could be so fortunate to land in the position that I have. So really my path was one of an unexpected opportunity. I had met someone involved with the organization. They knew my credentials, given my business background, given my education, was really just a great combination to lead an organization that's program heavy and then still has to raise the financial funds because we are all publicly funded. We do not get any government grants.
And it's worth noting, important to note, that Children's Cancer Center is focused on the families of children who are battling cancer or chronic blood disorders on a daily basis. And that family focus is really distinguishes you, I think, from some other organizations that are helping fight childhood cancer. Is that right?
Absolutely. We really are very fortunate in Tampa Bay because we not only have amazing hospitals, that are on the front lines and they're dealing with the medical aspects of the diagnosis. We also have wonderful nonprofits here in the greater Tampa Bay area that are focused on raising funds for the cure, but we're really everything about their immediate needs. And if you've never walked that journey, sometimes people don't know what that looks like. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of financial support, a lot of educational support, and more than anything, we have a lot of emotional, psychosocial programs to keep that family together.
How many families are helped each year about?
Well, annually, we're carrying in our database a little over 1,000 families.
Wow.
So we say 1,000 children, but then that embodies their whole family. So the numbers are large. I mean, our footprint is 5 counties. And really, in essence, the Children's Cancer Center here in Greater Tampa Bay will support any child that's being treated at one of our 3 oncology pediatric hospitals, so they qualify. So David, it would not be uncommon that, let's say, a family came from Minnesota. They come to Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital for a bone marrow transplant. During that very long process, maybe months on end that they're here, they are eligible for all of our services for free.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. And tell me about some of your services. What are some of the programs you provide to families?
Sure. We probably wouldn't have enough time to go through
Okay.
all 24, but I'll highlight those that I think maybe the listeners can relate to. But, our cornerstone is our oncology support group. We call it Family Connection Night. And really the basis of that is so that we bring families together that can relate on a different level, right? For a mom to sit down with another mom whose child also has a brain tumor, that goes so far in their life. More importantly, for a child who is diagnosed, for them to meet other kids on the similar journey that can understand their challenges, emotionally, socially. It's a very difficult time for these kids. So what we do on Thursday evenings is we provide a meal. We partner with one of our local restaurants. We have amazing partners here that donate the food. You might see upward of maybe 100, sometimes 120 people will show up to our facility. They'll have a meal. After an hour of eating, the parents are provided a facilitated support group. Sometimes we bring physicians in, sometimes we bring financial people in to talk to them about their finances. And then for the kids on active treatment and their siblings, I always say it's the most organized, chaotic scene you could ever see. But really, we're about allowing children to be children again. And so we have art therapy, music therapy, we have a sport court, a playground. It's really about giving them choices and giving them at least a couple of hours to put that diagnosis behind.
Because there's so much of their life is about therapy and medicine and everything else. September, and we're recording this on September 29th, so almost the end of Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Is that correct?
Correct. It's National Childhood Cancer Awareness. So researchers, organizations that are about immediate needs, we're all working together to just raise that awareness.
I notice on your Facebook page that you are doing September Tales of September.
Tales of September.
Is
Everything's
that
a play
because
on
of
the
children? Because of today, this is a Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, or do you do that every month?
Well, we do feature, so that's a great question. So it's twofold. We really did a much more aggressive campaign called Tales of September, the play on the kite, because that's our logo. Kids should fly kites, not fight cancer.
Oh, is that your slogan?
Our slogan is, So our logo is the kite, and it's helping children and families cope. But the original slogan and why Dr. Jan Judas chose the kite, our original founder, one of our original founders, was it was very nostalgic in her life. And she said, here she was, a physician, a leading physician here in Greater Tampa Bay, and she was the first one to say, listen, kids should be flying kites, not fighting cancer. So the kite became our brand logo, and we do kite tales. And yes, during the month of September, we highlight 30 stories of different children that are in the battle. Some are survivors, and unfortunately, far too often, some of the highlighted children have passed, and so their families will write their story and the legacy of that child. But on our website, reoccurringly, we always have comments and quotes and featured children.
Well, I was really struck by some of those stories because there were survivor stories and there were those heartbreakers. There was, gosh, I don't know how you get through a day in a job like yours without starting to cry at one point or another. But anyway, the guy Jade, who was a really young, promising soccer player, and it was a well-told story on your Facebook post that every 2 steps forward, there's 1 step back until finally, I guess in his teenage years, right, 16 or so.
He was 14.
14,
yeah.
and lost the battle, but then someone like Rosie, who had lots of problems that associated with being suffering from cancer that were more social as much as anything else, and she's making her way. She's survived.
Rang the bell.
She rang the bell, right? Have you been there for one of those bell ringing ceremonies, or have you ever seen these kinds of things?
It's a regular occurrence at the Children's Cancer Center.
Oh, is it?
So thankfully, to a family that did lose their child to cancer, they donated a bell. So the Children's Cancer Center has our own bell
sweet.
hung in the room. So on these Thursday night oncology support groups or some of our family fun events, we will highlight children that within that month have rang the bell, and it's very celebratory. And then we move those families up. It's kind of like a moving on process, like a rite of passage, and then they go into our survivorship program, and they get to become part of a different community. They hold on to the community that they've cultivated such great relationships with, but then they get to move into this survivorship group because, we always remind people is you ring that bell and you celebrate it, but it doesn't necessarily go away.
No.
There's a high percentage of children that have late effects. Oftentimes they have post-traumatic stress because of the evasiveness of the treatment, and they could have physical impairments, cognitive impairments from radiation. So those support groups, it's really vitally important that we continue them even into survivorship.
And they become a resource, I would imagine, for the families of children who are still coming through it.
Sure.
If you're a survivor, even though maybe your future is still has its unknowns, you can still talk about the journey you went through and talk to families.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The support that they give one another is priceless, I have
bet.
to say, from a parent level to a child level to a sibling level. We oftentimes, when you were asking me some of my favorite programs, we have a program at the Children's Cancer Center called Big Buddy, similar to Big Brothers Big Sisters, but what we do is we match a sibling of a diagnosed patient with a second-year medical student at USF. We have a collaboration with USF, so you can see it's mutually beneficial. Not only does the sibling really get a chance to have the focus on them, because it's natural that mom and dad, all the energies and the resources are going to the diagnosed child, the neighbors, grandparents, everyone rallies around, and oftentimes those siblings are isolated. They harbor guilt, sometimes they harbor anger and resentment, and so now they have a buddy that's all their own.
And guilt for feeling angry.
It's a vicious cycle.
Right.
And now they have a buddy that's all their own, but it's a buddy that understands the medical aspect of their sibling, and then the return that we give to these USF medical students is it teaches them to humanize the diagnosis.
Wow.
And they get to see on the back end what a family goes through and how devastating it can be financially and emotionally. Yeah.
That's really important,
Yeah,
I
it
think.
is. It's
I
one
mean,
of
I
my
think there's
favorite.
more and more medical education that's going in the direction of saying, it's not just the number to check off on your chart.
Sure.
There's a whole family in a circle that you need to be aware of.
Sure.
So I'll mention this a couple of times, but if you're interested in donating or being part of any kinds of these programs, or you would like to get the help of Children's Cancer Center, go to childrenscancercenter.org. That's no apostrophes or nothing in that, childrenscancercenter.org. And there are events coming up where you can participate directly and help raise funds and have fun at the same time, raise funds for Children's Cancer Center. So one of those is Clays for Kids.
Correct.
October 8th. You want to talk about that?
Sure. It's a clay shooting event, so COVID compliant. So for those of you that maybe have felt a little bit isolated, this is a chance to get outdoors so that you can still have appropriate distancing. Maybe you can come with a group that you feel comfortable with. But on October 8th, that's a Thursday, starting at noon until 5 o'clock, it'll be out at Tampa Bay Sporting Clays. That's up in the Lutz. Land O'Lakes area. It's a little bit past Lutz. It's Land O'Lakes. It's an opportunity for you to participate in sporting clay shoot, while 100% of the money we raise benefits the local children and families that we serve here.
Oh, great.
There's lunch provided by Panera Bread. There'll be refreshments, before and after. It's really a great time. And this is really for, seasoned and novices. If you've never, shot before, you'll get a tutorial before you go out, and there's people on the course that can help you. So it could be a bucket list item if you've not tried it.
Great. That sounds like fun. I noticed Panera Bread. I looked at, looks like you have beautiful headquarters in Cypress and Tampa. And Panera Bread's, there's a plaque outside for Panera Bread. They must be major partners of yours, is that?
They are.
case?
They are to date. They are our highest financial contributor
Really?
with
Huh.
several initiatives. Not only were they instrumental in the exterior renovation that really gave us a well-needed facelift to make that environment more welcoming to the families. Ongoingly throughout the year, they solely fund a program called Students Achieving Through Interactive Learning. There's a great focus on keeping kids with their head abreast in school, learning interactively to help accelerate their grades. We do SAT preparation. And
For children who are being supported by Children's
Cancer Center,
Oh,
correct.
really?
Only
Huh.
for children supported by the center. And we've given out annually for the past 10 years, $65,000 in scholarships to kids that are survivors or on active treatment entering secondary education programs. So that could be state colleges, universities, or trade schools. And this is solely through Panera Bread's partnership with the community, because those change roundup boxes that you see at the register, it's called Need for Knowledge. Drop your change in there and you'll be directly helping one of the children at the center.
Really?
Yes.
I know where I'm going for lunch. This is great to know. I didn't know that. Another project which I thought was just terrific, and I want one of these, is the coloring book.
That's great. That is from Will, and that is in
Will Crabtree.
Tampa Printing. Yeah, Tampa Printing.
Printer,
It's on
yeah.
Kennedy. Tampa Printer. It's Tampa Printer.
Tampa Printer,
on
yeah.
Kennedy. I know Will on a first name basis, and I have Claire, my marketing coordinator, who works with him. So I apologize to Will for screwing up the name there, messing it up a little bit. But oh my gosh, he also is extremely philanthropic with his time and his donations to us. And he really was the brainstorm behind that concept of taking like iconic places in Greater Tampa Bay and putting them into a coloring book, which again becomes very childlike. And the funds came to the Children's Cancer Center.
That's
so
great. Are they still available, the coloring books?
I believe they are on Tampa Printer's website. So you have to go directly to Tampa Printer's website. And I think they make great birthday gifts and Christmas gifts. Yeah. So we really encourage you, because that money does directly affects someone's life tomorrow. And these are our community, neighbors and friends and family. So.
And the drawings are really well done. Every iconic landmark you can think of, from the minarets at the University of Tampa to the Dali Museum, and he also recruited local artists to do some of the drawings.
Absolutely
right?
correct. He did.
That's great. So it's a support in a number of ways for the community and for the Children's Cancer Center. There's a guy named Brad who's got a big 50s battle or something. Brad's Big 50 battle I found on your site, who's challenging people to do the Murphy workout, or a Murph workout. I'm not clearly somebody who knows his workouts, but check that out on their Facebook page, Children's Cancer Center. There was a stampede of some sort, and Kendra Scott, I noticed, were involved in fundraisers that you were having coming up, or going on now, I guess.
It is. Actually, the Fall Stampede, our partner with the Fall Stampede is Chick-fil-A, and this is over 36 owner-operators in the Greater Tampa Bay area have come together with the center, and we normally do a road race. Typically, it's held the second Saturday in the month of Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. This year, being that we couldn't do a road race, we thought outside the box and we did this virtual challenge. So really, it's not too late, because even though tomorrow's September 30th, you can register. Your $35 registration fee goes directly to the Children's Cancer Center, and you can walk or run tomorrow anywhere from a mile, or you could get out and do 100 miles tomorrow, whatever your comfort level is, and you've still been able to make an impact. You still get a race t-shirt from us, you get a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and we are having regular drawings where 50 participants who registered will win Chick-fil-A for a month for free.
That sounds
so it's still not too late. You've got today and tomorrow.
Oh, today and tomorrow. Okay. I don't know when you'll be watching this, but today's the 29th. Tomorrow's the 30th, so get out there and run. And the Kendra Scott fundraiser, that was...
Kendra Scott annually does a give back to the Children's Cancer Center, so you can go online and purchases made through Kendra Scott, we will get a percentage of the proceeds going back to the Children's Cancer Center.
So that's a holiday gift shopping idea?
It is.
Oh,
it is.
Okay, good. See, we've even given you gift ideas already, and it's only September 29th. Well, this has been really fun talking to you. I think I heard you say that you have some kids, one of whom you just delivered to Tallahassee. Is that correct?
I did, yes. I have a 19-year-old that is a sophomore at Florida State, and I have a 17-year-old who is a senior right now at Tampa Catholic High School. Soccer player. Just got nominated for Homecoming King. So if any high school kids are watching, you need to vote for Jack O. That's his campaign. Jack O for HOCO.
Jack O for HOCO. Good. He's got marketing expertise already. Good. Well, I know as a former teacher, I was a former teacher myself. I was an elementary school teacher when I first got out of college. I know how important this kind of organization is. And I love the fact that you're dealing with the social construct.
Sure.
You're dealing with a whole kid, not just, I'm not just somebody with cancer. I've got a whole life, and and my family is experiencing it with me. So it's great to know that, and as a parent as well, I know you must feel especially good when these success stories happen.
Oh, there's not enough words. And you had said earlier, it's a range of emotions. And one day we cry, we laugh, we celebrate. But really, more than anything, it's so important that the community knows that's what we're more about, is we need to celebrate moments with these kids, not knowing, what their diagnosis is going to bring. And so it really, all in all, the Children's Cancer Center is, for these kids, one of the most happy places that they could possibly go, even in the face of something so devastating.
That's great. Well, help these kids celebrate moments and successes and their progress. And you do it with childrenscancercenter.org. You can do it in some of these events we talked about, or just call Patty O'Leary or her assistant, her marketing folks, Claire, who's here with us as well. So thank you again, Patty, for being with us. It's been a pleasure to meet you and talk with you about Children's Cancer Center. And that's it for this edition of Tampa Bay Talks. We'll see you next time. I'm David Warner. It's the DuPont Registry Tampa Bay. Find us on DuPontRegistryTampaBay.com. Our new issue just hit your mailboxes. And you can also find it on our website at DuPontRegistryTampaBay.com. It's our home design issue. It's full of beautiful pictures and interesting stories about people in the design world. So talk to you again soon. See ya.